All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of the On the Board Sports Podcast. I am your host, Will Chiarucci, aka Will C, coming to you from Long Island, New York on a Tuesday, January 4th. And I got to tell you something right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a crazy couple of days going into this new year, right? Starting off with the Jets debacle, and then the whole rescheduling of the Islander games coming up in a couple of days, and especially with all this Canadian stuff going on right now with regards to fans not being in the stands in Canada is just absolutely unbelievable. But regardless or not, still got a show to do, and it's a solo show tonight, so I'll have Sean back on. He's gonna come back on, obviously. Just wanted to express some of my thoughts because I know that we can go out there and legitimately we could go on and ramble on for hours, right? But let's just keep this one short and sweet, specifically with the Jets and the Islanders, because there's nothing going on in baseball. Basketball, as much as it's being talked about right now, me personally, I haven't watched a single minute of any Knick game. I know I watched Christmas Day, but outside of that, that's pretty much about it. And, you know, the Knicks are going to Nick. The fan base is jinxed. And the Nets, they, as much as Evan Roberts and Keith McPherson are diehard fans, and my co-host Sean are diehard fans, there is no fan base. There's none. The Knicks are always going to get the media attention, and as much in New York anyway, and as much as the national media gravitates around the Brooklyn Nets, once Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving leave, it's going to be another nightmare in Brooklyn. So, you know, the Nets don't have any fans. Even if they win a championship, they kind of bought their championship, and that's something that the loyal fan base is what it is. But enough of my tangent. Let's start off here with the news that has been kind of sort of somewhat been overplayed. And Sean and I were at the game, sitting in separate sections. He has his different view. Will probably hear him later on about it, but not later on tonight in this podcast, but later on in another podcast episode coming up very shortly. But being at the game, Jets, Buccaneers, nobody gave the Jets a chance. They were legitimately double digit underdogs. And I don't bet this game. I never bet games. The only thing that I really bet on is I put $100 down on the Jets to win the AFC East. That was pretty much about it. But foolish bet, whatever, it is what it is. You never know what happens in sports. But regardless or not, this game, let me tell you, this Jet team should have won this game. And where to begin? Because everybody wants to talk about the 4th and 2 play with Zach. You have a couple of analysts from SNY whose names I won't mention. I mentioned them on Twitter, but I'm not going to mention them here. You know who they are. I defended them. I defended their opinion, and being a young quarterback going in and trying to make a name for yourself, beating Tom Brady. I get where they're coming from, but to call him selfish, to say all this stuff in a season in which there's nothing going on, nothing right, and you have a rookie quarterback coming in from you know, BYU, a place in which outside of basketball, they're not really known for their football program. But yet here we are, we're talking about this. And you want to blame the quarterback, you want to blame Robert Saleh. It's a team effort at the end of the day. But there's no there's nobody talking about this outside of the diehard Jet fan that you're hearing about the whole, Zach Wilson played a good game, but you're gonna hear it's always gonna come down to the 4th and 2. And Tom Brady leads them down 93 yards for a game-winning touchdown. And I'm at MetLife Stadium. I'm watching this, and I'm sitting next to my friend Anthony Grambo, who's been on this podcast. And I got to tell you, I was I was devastated after that. Like legit devastated. Like I thought maybe all right, maybe the defense will go out there and maybe get a stop, and the Jets they win by the skin of their teeth. But nope, Brady does what Brady does and leads his team to a victory. But I tell you, being there for this whole year, I didn't miss a game. I didn't miss a game. Even when I went to Detroit, I didn't miss a game. Flew back Sunday morning, 6 a.m., December 5th, just to watch the Jets play the Eagles, only to have the Eagles hand us another loss at the time. And I wound up watching this team over and over and over again. And anybody that knows me knows that I'm a passionate fan, loyal fan. But I'm not going to get played. I'm not going to get played. And when the Jets were up by 2 scores, all I heard in my section was Brady sucks. And I started to yell out, no, don't say this, don't do this, because we've been down this path a lot when it comes to playing up against Tom Brady or any other team for that matter. And I said, hey, what are we doing? This game isn't over yet. Tom Brady can come out there and rip our hearts out as a collective Jet fan, as a collective fan base. And yet you guys are enjoying it now, but this game ain't over. And I had a couple of fans, tell me, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. Only to see later on during the game when Brady threw that touchdown pass to his receiver, I don't know his name. I was just more in the moment of being pissed off and disheartened over this situation that the two same fans that told me to shut up wound up leaving. And I stayed for the whole thing. Stayed for the whole thing. Saw them leave. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. We got to see it. We got to see it firsthand. So, you know, with that said, there's that mystique and aura when it comes with Brady. As much as I dislike the Patriots and what he did with the Patriots, he's the GOAT for a reason. And regardless or not how your feelings are, he literally basically went into your chest, took your heart out, ripped your heart out as a collective fan base, showed you your heart, and watched you die. That's what Tom Brady did on Sunday. And to get back to the Zach Wilson thing on 4th and 2, I totally forgot about Braxton Berrios getting hurt after him making that fantastic third down catch, only for him to be short by 2 yards. And the Jets, they took a timeout, and Robert Saleh had an opportunity to go out there and say, hey, look, listen, Zach, run this play and run it only, and that's it. He thought he had the quarterback sneak in, and then the next thing you know, whatever happened after that. And as a young athlete, you want to go out there, you want to prove to yourself that you're worth your money, you're worth your weight at that point. I get where Bart Scott, Willie Colon, and Ledger Douzable were coming from, but when you're looking at that, what about the whole game? What about the coach? You know, where's the blame for Salah at that point in time? And I get it, I understand it. Look at what Robert Salah has to deal with this year, with injuries in the secondary, and we knew that this secondary going in was going to be atrocious and horrible. And Sunday proved it again, time and time again, how bad the secondary is, right? And the Jets, they actually played a great game. Really, no penalties, maybe one or two, but the Buccaneers were imploding left and right. Antonio Brown, who we'll get into in a minute, Antonio Brown going off and just leaving. I've never seen that before. Never. And then you hear the stories afterward with why he left and how come the whole circumstance with him and Arians just hit ahead was just pretty much unbelievable at that point. But I'd never seen that before, and to see the Jet beat writers basically just destroying what Zach did on 4th and 2 and having Berrios go for the end around. You would have handed it off to him. He was unstoppable. Braxton Berrios was unstoppable. Okay? This Jet rushing attack was literally lights out. And they figured out a way to neutralize the run stoppability of Tampa Bay's defense. And Tampa Bay is a top 10 defense in the NFL. No doubt. And they have 3 All-Pros on that defensive line. In Sue, Vita Vea, and, you want to throw in Steve McClendon too? Go for it. Because I consider him one of the better run stoppers, and he was the best run stopper on the Jets. I remember. The gym's always open, as Mr. McClendon would always say. And they found a way to stop Zach on 4th and 2. But, where's the criticism again? And then everybody wants to talk about Brandon Eccles. He had himself a good game, got himself an interception at the end of the first half, which led to a field goal. And he got a touchdown. He got his interception that he got off of Brady signed by Brady after the game. Now, picture this. If Brady and the Buccaneers lost that game, Brandon Eccles would not have gotten all this hype and hoopla on him. You want to know what Brady would have done? He would have walked off the field. And he wouldn't have said anything. Typical Brady doing that after losses. You know that. As well as anybody. That Brady would have left if the Jets wound up finding a way to beat the Buccaneers. They didn't. And there's a story. Here's the hoopla of it. Oh, yeah. Greatness. Going out there and just literally signing an interception. Like, again, it goes back to Tom Brady ripping the Jets fan heart out at that point and showing it to you. It's the same thing. And I understand that there's the whole aspect of going out there and respecting your opponent, a la what Eccles did with Brady and being in awe of it. How many times do you get to pick off Tom Brady, right, in your career? But where is this killer instinct from this team? Where is it? I don't see it. I don't. And to recap on every Jet home game this year has just been, it's been a roller coaster, right? With the debut of Zach Wilson against New England, him getting shut down for 4 interceptions. You play up against the Titans, that crazy win, which led to a missed field goal to give the Jets a win in overtime when the Titans were marching down the field on this horrible Jets secondary. The Bengals, literally 3 weeks later, Mike White comes into the game. Nobody gives the Jets a chance. And yet, they go out there and they just legitimately take the bull by the horns. And the whole hype and hoopla during the week from the Jets, guys like Ty Johnson basically hyping Mike White up, and everybody's laughing like, who the hell is Mike White? Right? To then beating the Bengals, coming back and come from behind fashion. Total team effort in that game. And then finally, you know, you talk about the Jaguar game, and I was there for everything, everything. The Bills game, the Patriots game, the Dolphins, you know, the uh, the Titans, the Jaguars. I was there for it all. And if I'm missing games, I'm sorry. Just a lot of built up frustration here. But it is what it is. And the season could have been worse. But you know what? You take it for what it is. And in a couple of these games, the Jets could have won. Okay? Let's be honest. The Jets could have won a lot of these games on their schedule, starting off from week 1, week 2. We could be talking about a 9-win, 10-win team, if we're being honest. If they actually just kept some of these games close and they played 4 quarters of complete Jet football. Instead, we're talking about a 4-12 team that's going to be a 4-13 team once Buffalo wins the division against them. So it's like that every year. It is what it is. But there are some building blocks here, starting with Zach Wilson. And this kid, I got to tell you, as much as half the fan base didn't want to see Sam Darnold go, you knew that once they traded him away, that they were getting a new quarterback. Okay? And there were a lot of people on this app, a lot of people over YouTube, social media, basically saying, yeah, Zach's going to throw for over 4,000 yards his rookie year. Speed of the game caught up to the kid. Okay? Getting hit at the NFL level probably got to him as well. Getting hurt doesn't help. But he got hurt. Mike White came in, Joe Flacco came in, Josh Johnson came in. And they put up some pretty good numbers. Now, Mike LaFleur went up to the box as well. This is a team game at the end of the day, right? And then Zach Wilson, they're running the ball. They're making it easier for him. Instead of him having to make plays, he's finding his way in this whole grand scheme of things. That's the bottom line. He's finding himself, and he did find himself, and he hasn't thrown a turnover in God knows how long. But there were some great signs to see, and he was precise after he's gotten hurt, right? Forget the fact that he's thrown, and I tweeted it out. If he throws for under 150 yards or close to 200 yards, and there's nothing else after that, what are we doing? We got to understand that Corey Davis is out. He doesn't have really a tight end to throw to. Want to see more Kenny Yeboah at this point. Okay, starting next year. Even though he got 2 catches, his first 2 catches of his career, you could see that, he actually looks like a guy that you could build around at this point. Maybe this game could elevate Yeboah. And then you could build on it, and you could use him in training camp and get him some plays in at this point. Maybe he's gotten the speed of the game down pat too. So we'll see what happens with Yeboah. But Wilson, I like what I've seen. I think this kid's a leader. And especially after what happened the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, with guys being out with COVID, injuries, this is the way how you respond with games like this. Games like what happened, forget what happened against, the Falcons, the Patriots earlier in the year. This is how you want to go out there and see Zach Wilson go into training camp and beyond. So I'm a firm believer that Zach Wilson's going to be the guy for the Jets. And then finally, how about the rookies outside of Zach Wilson, right? You look at Elijah Moore, Elijah Vera Tucker, Look at Michael Carter and the aforementioned Kenny Yeboah. Even though 2 catches this past week, they're building blocks and they look good. And for Joe Douglas and company and Robert Saleh, this is who you want to have. And people that got to get re-signed, Braxton Berrios has got to get re-signed. Maybe you sign Ian Cole again. He looked good. Corey Davis is only going to come back healthier at this point. Denzel Mims is a wash at this point in time. But the offensive line looks good. And then to see this three-headed running attack of Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson, and Michael Carter, this offense might be a top 15, top 10 unit next year. And I'm calling it. And the numbers have only gone up for the New York Jets, something that we haven't seen since Ryan Fitzpatrick was the quarterback here for this team. The defense has to get fixed. CJ Mosley, leading tackler. He's a really good linebacker. Let's face facts. But is he the guy that you're going to build your team around? Is this going to be like Jonathan Vilma all over again, where he gets traded and then we get to see David Harris? Do we get to see a younger version of David Harris come in? Who knows? Do we get to see them draft a cornerback in the first round? Who knows? Middle linebacker, who knows? Edge rusher to complement Carl Lawson, and that's another guy. Carl Lawson wasn't even here either. So imagine if they had that. Imagine if they had Marcus May fully healthy at this point. It's going to be something, man. The Jets have to figure out what's going on. They really have to figure out what's going on here. But if they can figure all that out, watch out next year. Watch out. 9, 10 wins, calling it right off the bat. If they could get things right. And it looks like they have the right pieces in place. The head coach, I'll give him a pass for a little bit because of the fact that A, the roster that he was inherited from Adam Gase, and B, it's his first time with a flawed type roster. Let's cut him some slack. I'm going to give him at least 6 games next year to really evaluate, but let's hold our brakes before we start looking and saying, this guy, he's bad at this point. 6 games, and we'll see what happens. And how about Quentin Williams? How about Quincy Williams? Right? They look good. These are guys that you want to build your team around. Bryce Hall and the aforementioned Brandon Eccles, guys are good. You got to sign veteran players now. Sign vets. Use these draft picks wisely. Figure out what's going on. Maybe trade for a player in which is on a bad team, but he can make a difference. And be a leader on this team. Because that's what the Jets have right now. They have young players. The problem is they need leaders. And that's something that those middle 2000 Jets teams had, was the right mix of youth and veteran leadership, especially that 2009-2010 Jet team. So, that's all I got on the Jets right now. And then the Islanders. Everybody knows me as this crazy passionate Islander fan. The past couple of days have been absolutely nuts, seeing these games get canceled up in Western Canada and in Seattle especially. It was a trip in which I was really planning on going to, but I didn't. I'm holding off, and I'm looking forward to California. I'm really looking forward to California. Now, hopefully, everybody's healthy at that time. Because if not, then I'll reschedule everything. I don't care. But that's besides the point. They got to play these games. They have to. They have no other choice right now. And speaking of which, 3 games got rescheduled. If you didn't see it yet, The Blue Jackets game got postponed from the 18th of this month, January. Um, the Flyers game that was supposed to happen back in late November after the Ranger game, that got, you know, sent over to January 18th. So it's a back-to-back with Philadelphia on, I believe, Sunday, Monday night, or Monday, Tuesday night. And then finally, you had the Maple Leafs do a little flip-flop. So January 22nd, the Maple Leafs and the Islanders were supposed to play up at Scotiabank Arena. Instead, now that game is going to be played at UBS. And then on April 17th, the game that was supposed to be at UBS flip-flops over to Scotiabank Arena up in Toronto. So, with that said, I'm really, really looking forward to what this team has in store. And I've said it all over social media, and I'll say it again. This team's going to go on a point streak. And they have a lot of home games coming up this month alone in January. And with everything going on, you know it, I know it, this team has to respond. There's a lot of veterans here that are getting used to their surroundings, getting used to their whole situation. Guys like Zdeno Chara has been playing better. He's still the shell of himself, but he's getting better over time, right? Robin Salo has played phenomenal. Hopefully he's the 7th D-man. And we don't get to see Sebastian Aho. I think the Sebastian Aho experiment is done. I'll admit that. I was a big fan for Sebastian Aho to come up here and be that puck mover. But unfortunately, he is small. The man is small. And great puck mover, good offensive defenseman, but he's small. Like Thomas Hickey. This kid Salo, he's going to be legit one day. I feel like. And if they can find a way to go out there and, you know, I've been reading rumors that Calvin DeHaan might be coming back to the island. You know, maybe, you know, you look at Jacob Chikrin. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But in the grand scheme of things right now, if you're an Islander fan, be hyped for this January coming up. And for February too. For obvious reason. Now, are they going to go out there and go on this 11-game winning streak? Again, I don't know. But I'm feeling a massive point game streak coming for this team. And especially when they're getting back Brock Nelson and Ryan Pulak. So once January 13th rolls around against the Devils on a Thursday night at UBS Arena, this team is going to be clicking. And when they play up against each other, you know, whether it be the Devils, the Capitals, the Flyers, mark my words, this team's going to come back. And I think they're going to hit their stride. I think they needed some gut check wins. Going up against Edmonton the other night, gut check win. They look great in that first period. Kiefer Bellows, keep this kid in the lineup. I don't know what's going to happen when Kyle Palmieri comes back, but man, Kiefer Bellows is that guy. Power play looks great with the minute. He's been, the past 3 games that he's played in, he's looked absolutely dynamite. He's looked absolutely dynamite. And when you're looking at the youth on this team that can actually create their own chances, Barzal can create his own chances. Oliver Wahlstrom can create his own chances. Kiefer Bellows can create his own chances, right? We'll throw Anthony Beauvillier in there too when he's on, because we've seen this kid go out there and score goals on his own, on breakaways, on some power play attempts. He's been that guy, and I think he's gonna get it. I think he's gonna get himself started up, and then, you know, when you're looking at it, this team right now needs that youth movement. And Noah Dobson, too, another defenseman under. Man, what a year this guy's having. Getting the game-winning goal against Edmonton the other night. Going up against Chicago, I believe, in December. Getting that game-tying goal. Talk about a confidence booster. Talk about graduating from literally pull-ups to big boy pants at this point. Kid's growing into himself. And that's something that you want to see. So, with all that said, I might have said a couple of things that, yeah, the season might be over, but it's early. And with all these breaks that they're getting, with all this time that's being used, it's actually a good thing. So we'll see what happens there with the Islanders. One final thought. I hope, and I hope that Barry Trotz is okay. I really do. I hope his family's all right. I know he has a special needs son. I hope everything's going well in that household, because with all of these new variants that are coming out, the booster shots, the vaccine, whatever it is, this team right now needs this coach here. And I'll say this, maybe Lane Lambert going out there and coaching this team might be a real kick in the balls for this team, especially when you're looking at the young guys. Lane Lambert likes to lean on some of these young guys. He was once a minor league coach, and he has a very, very good record down in the minors. So this guy knows how to develop talent, it seems, and it's showing right now with some of these young guys playing. So until Barry comes back, I think this is a great opportunity for some of these younger guys to come in. And the power play, one other thing, the power play looks absolutely phenomenal. It does. They're getting, now I'm not saying that they're going to score on every man advantage, but they're going out there, they're making quicker passes, they're getting shots on net, and Josh Bailey isn't even out there on most of these power plays now. Go figure. So we'll leave it like that. But maybe this time off can actually help this team, and we'll see what happens as time moves on. So I'm a big believer right now in the Islanders coming back in again. They're only 9, like maybe 7 points out of that final wild card spot. I know Boston's holding it. I know there are a couple teams that are up there that are just above the Islanders right now. But this team can go out there and play. And they haven't even made a trade yet either. So I'm going to end it with this. Lou Emerlo likes to say, if you have time, use it. He's going to use it. And he's going to weigh every situation. The man's a Hockey Hall of Famer for a reason at that point in time. Let's not be too overly critical just yet. Let's see what happens when the trade deadline comes. This team still has a lot of games left to play at this point. And Boston's going to have their games caught up with them because of the fact that the Islander games being postponed. So we'll see what happens come here on out. Guys, that's pretty much about it. Nothing really going on in baseball outside of, Ken Rosenthal getting fired from MLB Network, but that's a non-news story, For what? I guess he made a bad comment on the commissioner, and Major League Baseball MLB Network let him go. He's still going to be on TV no matter what, so hey, sometimes the end game isn't the end. So we'll see what happens with everything else with baseball, with the Mets, the Yankees, and all that. So that's it. Follow On The Board Sports at On The Board Sports on Instagram. That's without the S, On The Board Sport. Follow myself on social media, Will Chiarucci, WILLCHIARUCCI, on Instagram and Twitter. And that's pretty much about it, Gotta start doing more of these. And it was great talking to you. And like, review, and subscribe to us. Leave a comment too. Love to talk with you guys. Love to hear your input on all this stuff. Anyway, have a good night. Talk to you guys soon. And by the way, Happy New Year. I know it's January 4th. People are done talking about Happy New Year, but I'll say it. Happy New Year for now. That's it. No more Happy New Years from me. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Peace out. God bless. Stay safe out there. And yeah, just do the right thing. Peace out.